Dr. Dharani Krishnan is my guest here on We Connect today, and we're really delighted that she could join us here. Now, she's the chairperson of the Registered Dietitians Board of our country, and I think that's a very important role that dietitians have to play, and it's with the great pleasure that I welcome her onto our program. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you.
Registered Dietitians Board. So how many registered dietitians have we got in our country?
We have 650 registered dietitians.
As many as that?
Yeah. And it's important because they get the skill sets to be a real dietitian on the field, to help people relate to any disease or anything that human health requires.
Right. You look like you have a great diet, obviously, Doctor. But I was just wondering that overall, when you look at us as Indians, do you think that we're a healthy nation?
We were a healthy nation, but as time moved on, we've become different. And today we stand as the global capital of cardiac disease and stand second globally for diabetes.
That's a disgrace.
It's really sad. And we need to move back and try to match what we ate as traditional people and fit in the new modern things to achieve what we have to do.
Right. But I was just wondering that when we talk about modern day lifestyles, our lifestyles have changed, there's progress, there's development. It's obviously translating into not very healthy people. So when you as a dietitian look at the people around you, what is it that really goes through your head? I mean, is it truly easy, as you are propagating, for us to go back to our old ways of eating, our old ways of living? Is it possible in this day and age?
Definitely. If you look at it right way, you can fix a lunch in 15 to 20 minutes. It's just have a spice powder ready over the weekend, and you can have just a boiled vegetable added on to every meal. And everything is available. People who are working in IT sector or people who are working in the BPOs, even in a food court, there is an option of a salad platter or a fruit platter. It is just that people are not going to it.
Right. Now, you are a great proponent for a child, for instance, a child going to school, to actually take a packed lunch from home rather than probably rush off to the school canteen for something deep fried, etc., and therefore unhealthy. So I want to talk to you about that. Do you think that is easy for a working mother, for instance?
Definitely. See, what we need to do is bring the child into the main forum. Like if you see now is holiday time. So children should be taught even as early as 3rd or 4th standard to pack that little box. They can put 2 tomatoes, half a cucumber and half a carrot into it. And the rest of the box the mummy can prepare. So it's not difficult as long as there is networking. There is, like if the child packs his own box, he's going to have a belongingness to it, and he will not waste it.
Right, that's very, very interesting comment that you've made. Are you actually encouraging us as parents to encourage a child to come in and do these little things?
I think it's very important. Even filling the bottle, cleaning the bottle, small little things. Somebody may clean it, but it's good to clean it yourself to make sure that it is clean. So starting from there, to make interesting, we're not saying don't have junk foods. We're saying have junk foods which can be healthier. So if you really want to have a pizza or a burger, you fix it yourself so that the number of vegetables that go in, the variety is there, the quantity can go up. So that's the way to go.
Right, but it's often been said that when you grab that, whatever it is, whether it's some kind of a finger food and you're on the run, it's so much more convenient somehow. Even sometimes one says, okay, this sandwich has everything in it. So what's my mother grumbling about? What's your comment to that?
Now the thing is, what happens is when they start falling ill at 24, 25, then it's a big no to a whole list of things.
That's
so
true.
If we bring this awareness into children, then they are the change agents of tomorrow, and they're going to learn it right. And those who are convinced, definitely follow it. There's absolutely no issues.
Right. Now, we're often reading in newspapers and in magazines, and books, etc. There are just so many diets that keep being advertised, that keep being written about. Do this, this is a good diet, that's a bad diet. And I'm often somewhat skeptical sometimes about the stuff that we read. And at the end of the day, what do you listen to? Which one do you follow? Do you go back to grandmother, what she used to tell us?
See, the thing is today we have a lot of information and everybody giving it. So there's not the right source. So that's why we're saying the role of a dietitian is very, very important, because we are trained in that area and we need to look for people like that who are trained, whether it's a nutrition based company or a nutrition based professional or a diet based professional. So articles coming from these people will carry weightage. And it's important to follow them rather than anybody. But when talking about grandma's recipes, each one of them is a PhD.
Really?
Because there is lot of science into our old way of eating. Like if you take an idli itself, the probiotics it has and the way rice and urad dal is mixed makes it a complete protein. Whereas rice itself is an incomplete protein and so is urad dal. So starting from there to the way we season our chutneys with oil, which helps that vitamin A to be absorbed. So there's a lot of knowledge in grandma's remedies which we can actually bring into the main foray.
Right.
And that is what was the previous culture, where the grandmother taught the mother and the mother taught the child. So, it was a system that went down ages. I'm not saying that we need to mix and match. That's what I was telling you.
Right.
Where each one of our spices are so important. They are rich in potassium. They have anti-cancer properties. They're rich in iron. So we need them. Whereas if you move totally to another kind of cuisine with different it may not be for our climate, the way we live and so on.
Right. But please tell me that people who are apparently fit and healthy, why would they or should they in fact be going to a dietitian to say, please can you still guide me or tell me what I'm doing, or am I doing it right, am I doing it wrong, here is the report of my blood work. People who often are not going necessarily to a doctor, and that's the point at which a doctor will say, I want you to go on this diet, I want you to do this or that. But before one is actually ill, one doesn't necessarily consult somebody like a dietitian.
Actually, you'll be surprised. 2 decades ago, it was different. People didn't know who a dietitian was. They thought she would just tell you to eat this, not eat this more than say what to eat.
Yes.
But today, it's very nice where children, even a mother, before she goes into pregnancy, comes and asks, what should I be eating so that I have a good pregnancy? And once the baby or just before the baby comes, they come to say, what is the diet I should be giving? And before the child goes to school, before the child goes to hostel. So there are various phases at which people are reaching out to us.
Really?
And I think the awareness is there because of so many nutrition information being passed on, and people are not sure which is right, which is wrong. So they are approaching dietitians.
Right. So do people come to somebody like you and say, I've seen this in the papers, I saw this on the internet, I saw all of this and I just don't know which direction to go. And I'm going to leave you with this thought as I take a very short break, and I'm going to get back and ask you this very question. And right here on We Connect, we will go in for a very tiny break and get right back with you. Please don't go anywhere.
Hanganakali.
Ilayaraja.
Sir, what are you sir?
First reel வந்ததும் வருவதும் திங்கள் முதல் சனி வரை தினமும் மாலை 5 மணிக்கு.
Before the bite, let the smell enchant you. Before the menu, let its history mesmerize you. If you are crazy about food, let the madness entertain you. Feeding Frenzy, Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Only on NDTV Hindu.
டேய் இங்க பாரு.
Chennai
Super Kings ka?
To be transported to a different world. A world where you are the lone survivor. Where bullets scream the loudest and blood flows like water. Where zombies lurk around everywhere and one wrong step brings you crashing to the ground. So, are you ready? Because the game is on. Sunday, 5 p.m. only on NDTV Hindu.
Welcome back to We Connect. Dr. Dharani Krishnan is my guest here on We Connect. She's a very well-known dietitian, and it's our pleasure to have her on our program. Now, Doctor, we were talking before we went for that break. Do you have people who come to you and say, I have this, I've read this, I've seen this on the internet, what should I be doing? Which one is right? Which one should I follow?
Yeah, very often they
Really?
come. Yeah, about, sweetener, artificial sweeteners. So many issues like that. Trans fats, which is the buzzword today.
Yes.
So what do I do then? Even if the sugar level goes up, somebody says this is the level which is right for fasting, this is for PP. So what do you think and how do you think diet can help? So there are various questions, and it's really nice that people are reaching out to us today.
Right. You, in fact, also give of your expertise and your advice to many of the companies within the food industry. And I wanted to talk about that because does this mean that the food industry is actually looking seriously at your area and your field of interest?
Definitely. Most food industries today have an NGO attached to them, and they are doing wonderful work because a public-private partnership is what can work. So they're doing wonderful work in actually disseminating information about nutrition and diet. They are working with schools to teach school children how to eat right, how to, picky eaters and toddlers, how we can change that. How can we go into the higher schools teaching adolescents to eat right? How can we prevent obesity? How can, so many issues they are handling, and it's really nice to work with people who are talking about nutrition in the right way.
Right. Do you feel a little upset, Doctor, when you see so many of our children who are somewhat obese? And we never saw this kind of thing not that many years ago. It must bother somebody like you when you see that.
Definitely. It's really sad to think that 10 years from now, they should be saying no to so many things.
That's right.
Because of the issues that could come in their physiology.
Right.
So that's where we are trying to tell them, don't go that far that, coming back is difficult.
Do it now.
Yeah.
You start controlling right now. You work a lot with schools, and I want to draw you out on what exactly you do at the school level.
See, school levels depends on if it's the primary section, we work with the parents so that they give the right kind of boxes to the children, that some amount of vegetable and fruit is added so that it makes it interesting, and teach them to eat right young. That's where we start at the primary school. Then once we go to middle school, we tell them to be part of the lunch. They decide the lunch and they are part with the packing of the lunch. And then as they move to high school, we have groups where we work with them. And we tell them that this is what you should be doing, and you should work with the school authorities, you should work with the school canteen, because there are a floating number of parents who are very interested in packing healthy food daily made fresh food for these children. So can we, bring this with working with the authorities, with the school children and the parents, because these parents want to work only when the school is there and they don't want to work when the children are at home, and it fits exactly right. So that way, where you have healthy food the right way packed and given to children at the cost which is affordable to them.
I have one simple question now. What's the difference between a nutritionist and a dietitian?
See, basically a nutritionist knows the knowledge of nutrition. Actually, they're one into the other.
Really?
Nutrition is the knowledge of nutrition. You can work in food companies, you can work with that kind of thing. And dietetics is where you have some hospital experience and you're converting this nutrition knowledge into diet. Where you're actually prescribing diets, you're talking about diet of people, you're giving a solution to them. That is why a dietitian's consult almost takes an hour, the first consult.
Really?
Because we need to know not only what they are eating regularly, but what is the family situation, who's preparing the food, the total quantity of oil or vegetable that is bought in a day or in a month, like oil would be a month, so that we have so many clues before we start. Because like we always say in the Triveni Sangam, the river Saraswati is right down, which adds a lot of sweetness, sweet water, similar to the sugar in the coffee or the oil in any food. Like people think deep fried foods are a big no because they take a lot of oil, and shallow fried foods is less oil. That is true as long as the cook who is using shallow fried foods uses less of oil. Suppose I put a puri into a kadai, only that much oil it will take. But the same thing if I make a chana and I add 2 katoris of oil, which is better. So the total oil that goes into everything is very important, and we need to work with that.
So you're talking about very, very strict control in a kitchen, whether the mother is cooking or whether the child is doing something in the kitchen, or husband or whoever it is. So is it possible truly from a practical standpoint to be able to do this in our very fast changing, very fast moving modern environment?
Simple things is you calculate the quantity of oil for a week and only portion that out for a week. So you know where you're going grossly wrong, because different people are using it. Second is we're not so strict as long as somebody is active. If somebody can burn out a lot of calories, and then a little more here and there is not an issue, because activity is also a thing which is coupled with diet.
Right. In fact, that was my next logical question, because diet minus exercise is probably not a very great thing. So do you as a dietitian actually counsel the patients who come to you, if that's the right word, I mean if they're coming to consult with you, about that exercise part of what they should be doing to keep healthy and fit?
Yeah, we definitely tell them they have to do exercise, a 45-minute walk at least 5 days a week. But over and above, if they need help, we network with physiotherapists or yoga therapists and work with them. Because that's the way it goes. Networking helps because you're with 2 people who are specialists in their field, and it helps. Like not only weight is important, it's the waist ratio. Waist hip ratio or the waist measurement, which is very important. Just a few centimeters down there means so much of fat you've lost, and that can change your blood picture.
Right.
And that's important.
Right. Now, you are the chairperson of the Registered Dietitians Board. How seriously, when somebody comes to be, registered part of this thing, how seriously are they looked at? I mean, you see many times a board somewhere and somebody says dietitian, and then I wonder.
See, the thing is, those who have had this RD, we call it the registered dietitian as RD. That is the, like you say BSc for Bachelor in Science, RD is what. In fact, everybody who sees a card with RD first asks, what is this RD?
Yes, right, sure.
And if you see abroad, unless you have a registration, you can't practice. So that's the way it goes. Whereas here, we still are working at a different level. In fact, even last week, Director of NIN, Dr. Sashikaran, has mentioned the importance of a dietary council, because dietitians are very important part of India's health today. Right. So that way, registered dietitian helps. We give them the right skill sets to handle this. And those who have become RDs, have gone abroad, they are doing very well. So that shows that our board has a very stringent stipulation and people are happy about it.
Right. I'm going to ask you to hold on because another short break here. On Reconnect, we'll just go away for a very little while and then get right back with you.
டேய் இங்க பாரு.
Chennai Super Kings ke
Chennai Super Kings fans, raise your hands!
Welcome back to WeConnect. Thank you once again for joining us on this program. Dr. Dharani Krishnan is a very well-known dietitian, and it's our pleasure to have her on this program because there's just so much valuable information that we're getting from her today. You know, I'm ashamed to tell you that I have never been to a dietitian, and there might be a lot of people out there who are very much like me, who haven't been there, short of when you go in and you actually visit a doctor about being unwell, and then you're sent to a dietitian or a dietitian is called in. So what's the other option? Are there any other options for somebody like myself?
See, today being the net, one thing is there are softwares available where you can analyze the diet. And Indian diet, everybody is looking at it because world over Indians are there. There are applications on phones which are available where Indian diet can be calculated. So you can have a diet calculation, which is the calorie you take in, and you can have another calorie output, which is the exercise that you've done, and you can match both. And you will know at the end of the day or even midday how far you are from where you should be, because your total calorie for the day also could be calculated. So there are various options like that available for Indian based diets, which has other foods also. It's not like you don't have the Western foods also. But usually to get calories or break up for Indian food is difficult. So it is available today and people can track their records, and this may help them.
Right. So what would I actually write in? I would say dietary information, or give me the keywords. What would be those buzzwords I would enter into?
Indian diet software or Indian food values, calorie values when you're searching and on the net, and it will help you.
Right. Now, just a very general question here. Around the world, we have so many different cuisines. Now, I'm not asking you to actually put your stamp on any particular cuisine, but in your opinion, which would you reckon is a sort of one of the healthiest ones in this world?
Definitely Indian kind of
Really?
principle. Yes, it's only we moved away. You take the traditional leaf that we used to eat old time 10 years ago, that is the best. Where you start with the simple, small little sweet, it's not a chocolate truffle. It's a kheer.
Yes.
A kheer has dal, it has cereal, it has a small amount of milk. That's it. It doesn't have too much of calories in the form of sugar or fat. Then you have a pachdi or a raita, which has curd and vegetable. Then you have a salad, which is again vegetable. Then you have a green vegetable. Then you have a root vegetable. Though it's not possible to follow all this, but definitely one could take a couple of tomatoes, half a cucumber and carrot. You can carry it wherever you go. You can carry full fruits like guava, pears, papaya, a quarter papaya. You don't have to cut it pretty. Just carry it and you can scoop it out and eat, like watermelon in this season. So these are the kind of things we need to add on and bring the traditional foods and traditional diet, traditional spices, less oil in cooking, and that would be the way to go.
Right. Would you say that this could be one of the reasons why Indian cuisine per se is beginning to really be sort of accepted around the world. And everywhere you go, you could go to the remotest part of any country and actually find a little place that serves Indian food. Is this one of the reasons, or is it just the fact that our food tastes very good?
That is because of the taste.
Is it? So I am wrong. Okay, I take that back then. Okay, so
but if you look at the reversal heart disease, which is being propagated, the principles are what we've been following in yesteryears.
Right. Of course, rice has always been our staple food, doctor, but is that the right way for us to continue going?
See, as long as you have a cup of rice and have 2 cups of vegetable, you're still safe. But if you have 3 cups of rice and quarter cup of vegetable and you don't exercise, you're in trouble.
So I'm getting the feeling that exercise is the key, almost as important as what you're eating, right?
Because people don't have patience. It's like they want instant babies, instant noodles, instant everything. So like that, they want what weight they put in 10 years, they want to drop it in 10 days. So it's difficult. So that's why if you want it to work fast, that's the way to go.
But you have this opinion, of course, and I need to say once again that everything is moving so fast, doctor. You've got to get to a plane, you've got to sit for 2 hours in your traffic. There's just so many limitations in our modern lifestyle. Truly, tell me seriously and practically, from a practical standpoint, whether it is really possible to follow this route that you're propagating.
See, you would be surprised. We've done research on parents, some of them working and non-working, and we found the working parents are so worried about the children, they pack a better lunch. In some research studies, it has come. Similarly, people who are working, the toughest, the busiest people, if that is their priority, they're able to manage. Their days from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m., but they carry their fruits and vegetable and carry the right kind of things around. So it's finally prioritizing.
And it's been my extreme pleasure to have you on this program, because I can't tell you what kind of valuable information you have imparted. And I, for one, need to get back and probably make a call and come see a dietitian. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much.
Very much indeed. Well, that's all we have time for here on Reconnect. And I'm really glad that you could join us here, because I do think that we've had great and very useful information today from my guest, Dr. Dharani Krishnan. She's a very well-known dietitian. And don't forget to keep watching us every single weekend, because don't forget also that this is the show on which you're going to get a lot of information. You're going to actually have guests who are interesting, who always have a story to tell us. I'd love to hear from you. Feedback at ndtv-hindu.com. Until the next week, take care. Bye for now.